In today's podcast, we sit with Melissa Tucci, a top real estate agent in San Diego and the representative of the San Diego Padres. Let's learn how she got that contract, and she's had that contract for 10 years now, and why she's a top real estate agent selling over 100 properties a year. That's a property every 3 days. Take a listen. Well, welcome, Melissa. Thanks for joining me on my podcast. And it looks like you're in your car, the true life of a real estate agent.
Yes, absolutely. It's my mobile office, so happy to accommodate.
Tell everyone how long you been in the business.
Almost 23 years. I've been in real estate in San Diego, and I've been a broker since 2005. So been doing it a long time, and been through a lot of ups and downs and changes in the marketplace, and happy to answer any questions revolving that.
Melissa, how did you get into the business 23 years ago?
So I used to sell yellow page advertising actually before I got into real estate, and talk about cold calling, and for every 500 no's, there might have been one yes. And I just ended up deciding to get my license, not even, thinking about real estate ever, to be honest with you. I mean, I majored in journalism and psychology, and ended up getting my license, cold calling my first seller, got my first listing, and it just was like my calling and what I was meant to do. And it, just took off from there. So I always tell people real estate is not a job or a career for me. It's more of a way of life and just kind of who I am. And so I truly think it was just meant to be.
What is it about your personality that lends itself so well to being a real estate agent?
I definitely have M&A personality type, super motivated, really strong work ethic, hold myself to a higher level of professionalism, and just, really always want to be the best. I'm very competitive. And I think just all of those traits have really just kind of pushed me to be the best that I could be in this industry. Plus, I enjoy it and I get such fulfillment out of helping people. I'm not monetary driven, but much more goal oriented, and, just love winning, love getting the acceptance, love getting, the best negotiations. And that's what drives me in this industry.
Melissa, did you ever play sports?
I did for a little bit, but not as competitive, actually. I was more, I did some basketball, but I was too short for that to be super successful at it, but did it more for intramurals wise. And then I did, cheerleading, and I've been a big runner actually for over like 35 years. So very determined, and set goals and different expectations of myself, and kind of hold myself just to a higher level.
Yeah, I find very successful real estate agents a lot of them have a passion for sports. They are decorated athletes. They're very competitive and driven, and you're definitely fit the bill. Yes. You mentioned before getting into real estate, you were selling the yellow pages, and it just dawned on me that some people might not know what the yellow pages are. Can you explain that to people?
Oh my goodness. Wow. You're making me feel so old. Well, so yellow pages, before we had, the internet was around, and, people, it's like now everything is so much at your fingertips. You're just like, oh, well, what's a good place to, change my oil, or what's a good place to, get something to eat, and you just Google it, or you put it on Yelp, or, there's so many different options. And so the yellow pages actually is a book that have pages that are yellow, and it's all alphabetically and also by trade, right? So it's like auto, electrician, contractor, all of that. And so I would actually sell the actual advertisements, like whether it's a business card size ad or a quarter page versus just someone having, the line item on there. So they were real, and the whole idea with the Yellow Pages is it's a tangible product. And especially some people, when the internet was first becoming more and more popular, a lot of people still, especially, older generation, they wanted something, where you had in your hand and you could flip the pages and like, you're scrolling down and seeing like, oh, this one has a bigger ad, so they're probably more knowledgeable, right? And so, or maybe I'm going to go with the smaller ad because they won't charge me as much because they're not paying as much for advertising. So it's so funny because everyone has different ways of looking at things, but essentially that's what it was. It was advertising for companies, not in a magazine, but in this larger book. And the book comes out once a year. And so people would keep it in their closet, in their shelf, and it would always come out when someone needed to look up something and it worked so many years for people. And believe it or not, there is still Yellow Pages with the phone company, even though a lot of people don't realize it. And a lot of people don't use it, but some do. And it's, good to, just like with anything, you want to be in print media, social media, radio, internet, TV. And but again, I got so many of my leads from cold calling. And so you really, had to have thicker skin and also just be, not let down anytime if someone's hanging up the phone on you or just like, I'm not interested. So it really gave me the basis of just dealing with people and customer service and, knowing that, just because someone's going to say no, I throw the, people are like, I throw that book in the trash. I never use it. And then other people are like, I love it. So you just never know. And it was just such a great, great experience.
So in the 23 years of selling real estate, have you found yourself working more with buyers or sellers?
I primarily do both, but I would say I'm more 65, probably about 65% to 70% sellers, 35 to 30% buyers. There could be a month where it's 50-50 just because I have a lot of sellers that they do want to purchase another property once they sell, or vice versa, or I just have a lot of repeat clients and referrals that do both, right? They want to purchase and then sell. And so I have a really systematic, strong marketing plan. And then on the buying side, I know so many different contacts for whether it's, electricians or plumbers or someone wants to remodel and put a new flooring or painting. And so I really have a whole bag of tools with me besides just on the real estate side to be able to help, buyers and be competitive in negotiations and getting their offers accepted. And then same thing on the seller side, just, a top-notch marketing plan, including, TV, radio, print, internet marketing, social media, blogging, you name it. So I like being that versatile, not just one or the other, just because a lot of people need both services.
One of the things that caught my eye, for those of you that don't know, Melissa's in the San Diego market, and specifically, are you catering to certain areas in San Diego?
So what's unique about me too is that I do work all over the county, which some people say like, well, how do you do that? I average over 100 transactions a year. So I really do know a lot of neighborhoods, and I have so many people that want to move, from inland to coastal, from north to south, east to west. Potentially, they had a place and now they have children and it's more important to them for a better school, community, and network. And so I'm able, just with my experience of all these different neighborhoods, to give recommendations based on, what people want and what is suitable for their needs.
So 100 personal deals, or do you run a team?
I don't have a team. It's just me. And actually for a while it was average 150. I like to always say a little lower so people don't give me a hard time for being a workaholic. But yeah, it's usually at between 100 and 150 transactions. I don't have a team. I just have an assistant that helps with, dropping off flyers, picking up, lock boxes, things of that nature. But I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic, but I probably am. That's a good definition. I mean, I pretty much work every day. I don't turn it off. I'm always responsive. I try to respond to people, whether it's phone, text, email. But like I said, it's a passion. It's not for everyone for how much I do work, but in order to get things done, in order to get acceptances, in order to get, I mean, if you snooze, you lose. If you're on vacation all the time, you're going to miss out. And, I just am very passionate about what I do and enjoy what I do. And, let's face it, San Diego is a vacation spot. So, I'm living in a vacation area every day. Right. And that's the way I look at it.
That's something that both you and I have very in common, being in Cabo, and a lot of our clients coming from San Diego. Have you been to Cabo before?
I actually went there on my honeymoon, believe it or not. So I have been, yes.
And was that a while ago or is that recent?
Oh, that was a long time ago. So okay. I was there, gosh, it's been almost 24 years ago.
Okay. And since then, have you come back?
I haven't. I'm sorry. And no. It's funny because when I did go, to Cabo, even then I was still, it was only for a few days, just again because of how I work a lot and everything like that. But I would love to go back. It's just sometimes hard to get away. But it's a beautiful spot, and I'm sure you love being there as well.
No, I love being here, and with over 100 transactions a year, every 3 days you're putting a deal under contract. So I can imagine you don't have much free time, and it's a good thing that you enjoy what you're doing, and it is yes. a passion, much like for me. How's the market right now in San Diego?
It's really interesting. There's homes that are still getting multiple offers over the list price. Going in a few days, while other properties, if they're priced too high, are sitting on the market longer, and we're seeing more price reductions. We're also seeing some buyers kind of on the fence, waiting to see if anything changes with the interest rates in June. But then on the flip side, there's other people that are using the time as a buyer to say, okay, I'm going to get in, hopefully not have as much competition, and then when the interest rates come down a little bit, I could refinance as well. But if there's a house in a good location and it's priced, competitive, it's going to still go. There's a lot of people looking. There's still a lot of people selling, and there's not a lot of inventory at all. Yeah. And so that's really what's still driving the market.
Okay. And there's something that I noted before we connected is that you're the agent for the San Diego Padres. How did you get that gig?
I am. So I've been the official agent for the San Diego Padres going on 10 years, actually, which I can't, time flies. So I've been the only agent that they've ever endorsed. And it was kind of a connection through a client that had worked in the HR department. And through there, they wanted to have more marketing affiliates, but they wanted someone with top credentials. And so, I've had, thankfully, a lot of, number one ratings in the state and the nation and worldwide. And so I had a series of interviews with the marketing director, the CEO, ownership, and came together with a marketing partnership. And it's been really amazing. I mean, I've been able to help players, staff, front office, and then also, of course, advertising in the ballpark, on the TVs, on the scoreboard. And it's just an additional marketing that I'm able to offer for my clients to help get more exposure on their listings. And of course, if you're a sports fan, I could give, I have season tickets. I also have been able to get people to watch batting practice, and been able to do a lot of donations and give back, for great causes too. So it's just it's an amazing affiliation. I'm still very humbled by it.
Well, that's an amazing, I wish we had a sports team here in Cabo, and I'd love to have that. What would you say in terms of an annual, like how many deals a year would you get from that affiliation?
A lot, and that's a lot of misconception on that because people are like, oh, you're so busy helping the players and this and that. Well, a lot of the players actually rent because they get
Yeah.
traded a lot and they don't know how long they're going to be here. I would say my business with the Padres is less than probably 2% of my business a year.
Yeah.
However, the affiliation, of course, is very helpful just for credibility and recognition that, people know that I could, if the Padres trust me and endorse me, then obviously I have the credentials and I'm able to take care of them as well, especially, with high-end luxury properties or even, all the way to from first-time buyers. I mean, it just creates that initial trust up front that, no one else has that backing of. So it's just an amazing affiliation that I'm very fortunate to be a part of.
I'm very jealous.
I'm sorry.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Last question for you, and then you can go on your next showing. What opportunities exist in the San Diego real estate market for both buyers and sellers?
I mean, as a buyer right now, the opportunity is to get into a property that, the market is still increasing. Average last year was 13%. So even though we are seeing some slowing and some price reductions, that's just based on average market times being a little bit longer and then people, listing their property a little bit higher than they should. And now is still the time to get in. I think a lot of people, if they're on the fence waiting for the market to drop, that's not going to happen. That's what people have been waiting for the last 5 years since COVID. Get in now, and then hopefully the rates do get a little bit more competitive and you could refinance and be in a better position. And then for sellers, it's a great time because the inventory levels are still so low. So you don't have that competition. And so, it's hard because some people, especially if they're in a property at a much lower rate, it's hard to let that go. But sometimes you need to sell to take that equity to get another property, or if you're moving out of state, or, if you're going through a divorce or if there's a death in the family. And so you use the fact that there is not a lot of competition in your favor to be able to get and drive the motivation to get the most amount of people interested in your house.
Melissa, you're a true pro. For all of you that are interested in real estate in San Diego, look up Melissa Tucci. She's a 23-year veteran, and you can see her on the road showing properties because you work 7 days a week.
Yes, that is true. Thank you.
All right, Melissa, we'll be in touch. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronaval Real Estate and follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronaval. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronaval.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.